Lomas Brown helps us break down the Detroit Lions. He is a part of their radio network. He's on the Ruud Guest Hotline. Ruud, the most reliable heating and air conditioning product in the DMV. Lomas, thanks for joining us in D.C. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys today?
Well, we're fine now.
Doing all right, yeah.
We're a little anxious, a little nervous about Sunday. We are very much now suffering from a little PTSD over the last few weeks with 4 straight losses, 3 of them by 21 or more points. And here comes Dan Campbell, who's been throwing darts at pictures of the Commanders since January.
We're kind of calling this back in Detroit. It's kind of the revenge game because of what you guys did to us last year. So we're going to have a lot of Detroit Lions fans that going to invade the D.C. area this weekend. But I tell you what, after that loss that we took against Minnesota, the guys are kind of chomping at the bit to get back out there.
Yeah, this is a double whammy. I almost wish they'd won by 50 last week, and maybe we're Cadillacing, but they're starving on both ends, Lomas. I still think of this team, talking about Detroit, as one of the top-tier teams in the NFC, a Super Bowl contender, but they haven't been as consistent in behaving that way. Just kind of give me your 30,000-foot view on this year's Lions team.
Yeah, the biggest thing is, and you guys know this, man, you give a team, you give these defensive coordinators a year to plan against you, they're going to come up with different and exotic ways of planning against our team, especially offensively. And what we've seen so far is because we haven't had the threat of going deep against teams, now you're seeing teams having 8 men up in the box, and it's stopping our run game. And as you guys know, everything we do offensively is predicated off the run game. So when we don't get the run game going, Jared Goff doesn't have the play-action passes. And, we just don't look crisp. And plus, along with the fact that we're breaking in 3 new linemen in the middle of our offensive line, that hadn't helped this year so far either. So I think offensively we have been disappointed with the output that we've been doing. And that's what we kind of been hanging our hat on these last couple of years, being able to put up 30 points against teams. And we just haven't been able to do that consistently all year long.
So how is it possible, Lomas, that they haven't been able to push the ball down the field? With a guy like Jamison Williams, one of the fastest players in the league, part of that offense, Amon-Ra St. Brown chewing people up in the middle of the field, Laporta underneath. Why hasn't that been a part of their offense?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, again, that's the question we're trying to answer around here. And I know a lot of it is falling on Johnny Morton's shoulder, the new offensive coordinator. So a lot of that is falling on their shoulders. But I just think we just haven't been able to make the necessary adjustments. And some of the adjustments we have to make is, if you can't get the ball on a 20, 30-yard throw downfield to J-Mo, then you have to devise other ways. Jamison Williams, you have to devise other ways of getting the ball in his hand. Maybe some slant routes, maybe some quick screens, and let him see what he could do after he catches the ball. But we just haven't been able to do that. And I don't know if we've made this concerted effort not to go downfield, and Jared has just been trying to spread the ball. But we've done enough where defenses now, like I said, they're rolling up one of their safeties in the box because they don't have the fear of us going over the top of these guys.
Scouting the opponent with Lomas Brown, who hasn't played in a couple decades, but I think you could have a good day against this Washington defense if you stretched out and got yourself in maybe a couple wind sprints before the game started, Lomas. Give me your assessment of Johnny Morton as the OC. Ben Johnson, pretty big shoes to fill. He's doing some work in Chicago now, obviously, but it's, again, the offense is still really good. The standard is so high, though. Second in the league in points. We're used to pretty much, 40 a week and 500 total yards. It's been up and down, mostly up, but still not quite what we're used to. Give me your Johnny Morton take.
Yeah, I love Coach Morton. I love him because he's an old-school type of guy, and he wants to run the ball. But, again, a lot of times, like I said, you're running up against 7, 8-man boxes, and when you don't have that success, especially early on plays, and I think that's the other thing that's kind of hurt us on first and second downs, we're not as efficient as we normally are, so we find ourselves in third and long or third and unmanageable downs and everything. But I like Coach Morton because he's a guy that wants to run the ball. I think some of the time last year, Ben Johnson kind of got away from the run, and it kind of hurt us, where you have John Morton here that he wants to consistently run the ball. But again, like I say, he's running up against these 8-man boxes, not having success on first and second down, and then we're not being able to sustain these drives by converting on third down. So I just think it's been kind of like a snowball effect. When you're not doing one thing good in one area, it kind of has a tendency of affecting you in other areas.
Lomas, interestingly this week, the betting line has shifted a point toward Washington, not Detroit. And I wonder how much of that is about the offensive line. The case I've been making in town, while I think the Lions will win, is I could see the Commanders finding a way to dial up some blitzes from the interior against this front. I mean, there's going to be potentially, you have to tell me, Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell, the tackles, will either of them play? I know you've got a guard that's out, so you've got a fill-in guard, 74, really struggled on tape last week. Center from last year is not there. Now it's Graham Glasgow, who hasn't played at the same level. Kind of feels like this line is right for the taking this week.
Yeah, and don't forget this now. A lot of that pressure, too, was because of our running backs. I mean, they really put a zero on Jahmyr Gibbs. And every time Jahmyr was back there, it seems like Brian Flores, the great defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, he was sending that A-gap pressure, and Jahmyr wasn't able to handle that. So I think that was something that they might have seen in film study leading into that week, and that hurt us because you guys know it's not all about the offensive line in pass protection. Your backs have to be able to step in there and have to be able to provide some protection too. And we just didn't do a great job either with the offensive line or with our backs back there trying to stop that A-gap pressure. And the other thing you guys know, this is a copycat league. If they see one team have success against you a week earlier, you better believe you're going to see it again. So they should be expecting a lot of heavy A-gap blitz from the Washington Commanders this week.
It feels like, and Lomas Brown with us here on GED, it feels like this defense is banged up again, and that was kind of their undoing last year in dropping that game to Washington in the postseason, and it feels like here we are all over again. Just, Abe, what's your thoughts on the defensive injuries? It feels like there have been moments, though, where they've been really good. They've gotten a lead, and they're flying around, they're hitting people, and they look awesome, and then there are other times where they look pretty susceptible. Kind of give me a state of the union on this defense and maybe address those injuries, if you would.
Yeah, I do think Calvin Shepard has done a great job with what he's had to work with, because you're absolutely right. We've had to deal with injuries for the most part of this season. I think the only good thing for us is because of what happened last year with all the injuries we had, with 17 guys going on IR, 13 on the defensive side of the ball alone. I think it's prepared him for this, and we're more prepared to deal with these injuries. But you're right. I mean, you know, getting the Lean McNeil back was huge for us, I think. And then you look at some of the guys, Terrion Arnold was able to come back. We got Brian Branch back off suspension. So I thought those things were huge for us on the defensive side of the ball. And hopefully it seems like defense right now is carrying our team. So I think we should be all right on the defensive side of the ball, but Dan Campbell always preaches complementary football, offense, defense, and special teams. So right now, to me, the defense seems like it's been carrying this team, and I give Calvin Shepard, our defensive coordinator, I give him a lot of credit for taking guys that he's basically had to get off a practice squad, being able to put them in a position to have some success.
Let's talk Aiden Hutchinson for a moment, Lomas, because he's one of the best players in the National Football League. He's leading the NFL now in pressures. His pressure rate in the fourth quarter is the best in the NFL as well. He puts games away. He makes huge plays. This is going to be a potential DPOY. how should Washington try to take him out of the game, and have other teams been successful at doing so?
So the thing I've seen what teams have been doing against Aiden is, one, he always seems to have a tight end over there, so that makes him have to widen out because of the tight end. Whether the tight end chips him or not, just the presence of a tight end makes him have to get a little farther away from the quarterback. But the other thing that I've been watching teams do is they don't block Aiden, especially on some of the run plays, because he's so aggressive. He takes himself out of plays. Even some of the pass plays, they'll let him get upfield and just dump the ball over his head. So I've seen teams don't block him, and then when they have to block him, you're seeing him. I don't know what his double team rate is or the chip rate, if that is a stat, but it has to be high because you'll see guys double team them when they have to. But the thing I've seen the most is that some teams that, like I say, don't even block Aiden Hutchinson. They'll let him take himself out of the play because of his aggressive nature. So that's what I've been seeing to kind of neutralize him. But all in all, he is a great, great player. And the one thing about him, that his relentlessness is contagious. You see other guys get out there and they give that same effort that Aiden Hutchinson gives each and every play.
18-year NFL veteran, Lomas Brown, kind enough to break down. 18 years, man.
Damn.
18 years. Yeah, that kid went off to college. 18 years from the 80s into the early aughts, bro.
Now, Lomas, when I think of you, I think of the New York Giants. I don't know how you feel about that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I had some good years. Think about it. That's when I got to my first Super Bowl. Even though we didn't win it, I got to my first Super Bowl, so it took me 16 years to get to that point. And
wow.
The other thing, don't forget, I was teammates with Dan Campbell on that team, on the Giants team for 2 years. So we got a long history going back there.
When you were teammates with Dan Campbell, did he ever come up to your locker and go, in 2025, man, we're going to go after Washington's ass because they whooped up on us in the playoffs, brother?
No, he didn't say that. And you know what else he didn't mention? He didn't even mention about biting kneecaps and doing things like that. So I didn't even hear that back in the day.
I have joked all week that if there's ever been a coach that quite literally has a poster over his bed of the final second of that game or whatever, it's him. I think a lot of guys are we're on to the next season, whatever. Is there legit venom? I mean, to circle back to where we started the conversation, it just seems to me like Dan Campbell would put the commander's helmet scattered all around the facility all year, counting down to Penn State playing against Ohio State or something with just a countdown clock since August.
I mean, he doesn't have a choice because I'm telling you, the fans have been talking about that since last year. It was such a bitter taste in our mouths because think about it. You go 15-2, you get the number one seed, you're set to host the NFC Championship game, and you get knocked out in the first round, and deservedly so. I mean, Washington came in, you guys came in there, and y'all kicked our butts. Jaden Daniels was magical that day against us. So, yes, I know Dan is going to have those guys ready. I'm quite sure they watched that film over and over again from last year. And there has to be some type of revenge factor factoring in there because, like I say, it was such a bitter loss that fans are still talking about it this year. And like I say, I heard so many fans saying they will be in Washington, D.C. because they're calling this the revenge game.
Oh, thank goodness that's happening.
Can't wait. That's fun.
Yay. That'll be exciting for one of the teams. So, Lomas, let me get back to big picture here, if you don't mind. I still think Detroit wins this division. I know that's not a popular opinion right now because where Green Bay sits and, Chicago's everybody's kind of darling. And, this past week against Minnesota, I still think the ceiling's the highest. I just think it's a matter of time that they get there. Do you buy what I'm selling there, or do you think someone else ends up winning it?
Oh, I'm buying it 100%. I think, like you say, talent-wise, I think our talent is up there or better than any of the talent in our division right now. Again, we tasted winning the division the last 2 years. I know these guys want to win the division and actually have their sights on doing a lot more this year. We know what we have to do. We have to take care of home field, but I think we have to be one of those teams that wins the division so you could get a home playoff game because our home field advantage is such an advantage for us. So, yes, everything is still ahead of us. Even that ugly loss to Green Bay, the first game of the season, we feel that everything is still ahead of us. And we feel that once we're playing at the level we know we could play at, we are the best team in the NFC North. So I'm buying that 110%.
Lomas Brown, Lions Radio Network. It was a great convo. Sad to hear that you guys are ultra motivated and now coming off of a loss, but who knows? Hey, the spread has moved in Washington's favor. I like that a little bit. Thank you, Lomas.
Take care, fellas.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Good. That was a lot of fun. Lomas Brown with us on Grant and Danny here on The Fan. What a lengthy career. He reminds me of
Ray Brown?
Exactly right. Yeah. The other of the offensive linemen with the last name Brown.
Pretty grueling position.
He was
played
playing
for a long
at
time.
39 years old for the Bucs.
You sleep on how good he was for the rare good Detroit Lions teams in the early to mid-90s.
Him and Herman Moore?
Yeah. Some guy named Barry something or other. I can't remember what his name was. Running back's pretty good. But he was an all-pro a couple times. When they didn't win before that, didn't win after that for a long time. But they won. They had like a 12-win season, a 10, 11-win season in there. They were really good. They got robbed in 91 by somebody, though, in the NFC Championship game. They kicked their ass. I can't remember who it was.
Probably a really good team.
A really good team. Maybe one of the best teams ever. Maybe.
They go on to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that caliber.
Bet you they looked really good doing it.
Yeah, good uniforms, yeah.
We should bring those uniforms back around these parts.
Am I right? Come on.